Welcome to the MFR Coaches podcast, where we talk about how you can create a six-figure MFR practice. I'm your host, Heather Hommel. Not only have I been practicing MFR for 11 years, I'm also a life and business coach, especially for MFR therapists. My goal is for you to understand how to get fully booked, how to talk to your clients, and how to make sure they understand what's possible for them with MFR treatment. I'm here to help you stop under-earning, overworking, and burning out. I'll lend support so you can create the MFR practice you've always wanted. Learn how you can do it too, even if you live in a tiny town, and even if you're just starting out, and even if you've ran your practice for years. Let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I am joined today by a new friend, Leah Hadley. Leah is the founder and CEO of Intentional Wealth Partners and creator of the Intentional Money Method. She is also the author of Intentional Money, The Modern Woman's Guide to Building Wealth, Purpose, and Peace, and the founder of the Empowered Sisterhood, a community where women support each other on the path to financial freedom. Leah's mission is simple. No woman should have to figure out her finances alone. And I freaking love that. So welcome to the podcast, Leah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So is there anything you would add to that? Like, this is a pretty good bio here. You work with women, you help create intentional wealth partners. How did you get into that? Have you always been a money person?
Not at all. Not even a little bit. I have always been a numbers person, but I started my undergraduate degrees in sociology, my master's degrees in education. So I was a teacher. I taught third grade for Baltimore City Public Schools and got very burnt out in the classroom very quickly. And I was drowning in student loan debt at the time and just took a temp job. I was like, I got to pay the bills. What am I going to do? And that temp job happened to be at an investment bank. And I was an administrative assistant in the equity research department. And Heather, I felt like everybody around me was speaking a foreign language. I had no idea that there is a whole language around wealth creation that I had never even heard or learned. And here I was feeling like this educated person walking into this new job. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me. And I did a lot of work on my own. I did a lot of reading. I had wonderful, wonderful mentors. But ultimately, I fell in love with the market. I think it's amazing how we can have our money making money for us. And I wish more people knew how to do that.
Right. What do you think is the hesitation, especially for women, to learn this skill set of investing or what to invest in? What do you think is the biggest hesitation or reason why they don't?
For a lot of us, we were raised that you don't talk about money. That's a topic that is just off the table. So everything becomes more difficult from there if we can't even have a conversation about it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of kind of baggage that we bring to any kind of financial decisions, whether that's our own experience, kind of growing up, talking about money or not talking about money. Maybe you've gone through a trying financial time in your adult life that's really had a hard impact on the way you think about money and interact with money. But especially for folks who are new to investing in particular, there's so much fear around making a mistake. And I was even talking with a woman last week who made an investment that did not get the ROI that she was expecting last year. And she was telling me how she feels like she really needs to punish herself. Like she can't make another investment because she has to punish herself for the mistake that she made last year. Well, that's just holding you back. And there's huge opportunity costs when it comes to money, right? And so those are the kinds of things, though, that we bring to the table when we're deciding how do we want to handle our money.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. Would you say a lot of people think that investing is only for rich people, or like you already have to be rich before you can safely invest?
Absolutely. People think, and it's so interesting because people's definition of rich is like all over the board.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think the message is getting out there and more that there really truly is tremendous value in compound returns. And so the earlier you get started, the less you have to invest to be able to really create wealth. That message is definitely getting out there. I think where the miss is it's like, okay, then what do I invest in? How do I make that investment decision, right? Like, I know I need to get started. And so a lot of people are starting with like super basic things, which is wonderful. I just recently started working with this couple who they grew their own portfolio to $2 million. And now it's like, well, now there's a lot of weight on these investment decisions. So it's like, now I need some help, right? And I think that's great. I think you can absolutely, if you want to, learn about investing and navigate it on your own. But I also think there's too much pressure on people to figure it all out. Investing, like figuring out what investments to go into, how do you value investments, what's right for your portfolio. Like that's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. I'm not like upstairs trying to fix my plumbing. Like I would never, I'm going to call a plumber every time, right? Like I'm not trying to do surgery. Like I'm going to go to a surgeon.
Yeah.
We don't know it all, right? And we don't have to.
Yeah. I kind of love how you said that because I think we just by accident think in certain situations, like we really should know everything about this, but that's a good point. Like I'm not trying to fix my toilet when something's wrong with it. And I'm definitely not trying to perform heart surgery on a loved one. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Like why wouldn't you read a book or educate yourself or just hire someone that already knows all of this?
Well, and the thing that I always tell people is, look, nobody comes out of the womb knowing how to manage money. Like at some point.
And where do we even learn it?
At some point, you have to learn it if you want to be able to do it well. Most people are not getting that education in their families. Most people are not getting that education in school. So at some point, if you want to know, then you have to own that and say like, hey, this is something I want to learn about. And whether it's listening to podcasts or reading books or, working with professionals, but regardless, at some point. Now, unfortunately, what we consistently see, Heather, is that it's one of those things where I'm just going to keep kicking that can down the road. And then somebody's going through a divorce or they lost their spouse or some kind of a very difficult time that they're facing. And suddenly it's not optional. You have to figure it out. We'd much rather people figure it out when you have the space and the mental capacity to work through some of those things.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So where do you think your book plays a role in this educational lens of educating people about investing and about money?
Yeah. So the book is really meant to acknowledge a lot what people feel around money, right? Really meeting people where they are at. It's not a book where you're going to open the first page and we're going to be talking about like PE multiples or compounding interest or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's a book where we're going to acknowledge the fact that society has given us a lot of challenging messages around money and women in particular. There's like this assumption that the system was really built on this assumption, a very linear experience through life, right? Like you go to college, you get a job, you work for your career, and then you retire. That is very unusual circumstance for women. Most women are going to find that whether it's children that maybe distract them from their career or aging parents, or even just caring for their partner, in a lot of cases takes away from their focus on their career, which limits, we already have the wage gap, but then that also, limits earnings potential and that kind of a thing. And so it really starts with embracing the fact that like, hey, ladies, like we've got a lot of mixed messages out there. There's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of shame around money. Let's acknowledge it. And let's put that to the side and get really intentional about what we want for ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. Have you written a book before? Is this your first book?
So I've written a book before that was very specific. It's for stay-at-home moms. So one of the things that just breaks my heart is witnessing the vulnerability of stay-at-home moms who are facing divorce. Yeah. And, if you don't have your own income, there's a tremendous amount of risk in that situation for a woman and for her family, right?
Yeah.
And so that book is specifically geared towards stay-at-home moms who are just looking for, hey, the marriage isn't working. What do I do? What do I think about? What do I need to do to prepare for divorce?
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Okay. So this book that you just wrote, it just came out this week. We're recording this March 20th. This is going to come out a little bit later, but it just came out last week or this week?
Came out this week. Yeah.
This week. So how exciting is that? Like, congratulations. Oh my gosh. Just holding it up. Intentional money. I love it. I just ordered it. I'm waiting for my copy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. How's it going? What's your goal with this book?
I really want to reach women who have really struggled with their relationship with money. I think, so often women will reach out to me years after like a divorce or a loss of a loved one or whatever the big thing was that made them know they needed help, but they didn't reach out then, years after the fact. Well, first of all, again, always an opportunity cost when we're talking about money, but it can become more complicated. The situation can become more complicated. It can become more expensive to unravel years after the fact too. And so I really want women to feel safe, to know that there is a safe place to reach out, to ask questions, whether that's the Empowered Sisterhood or it's our one-on-one services or what have you. But they don't always have to be afraid that the reaction is going to be shame or judgment. And the reality is there are a lot of people in the industry who are very condescending, who will patronize you, right? And that's reality. That's a reflection of them and not a reflection of you. But it can feel like if you've been holding on to this, waiting to make this call, you pick up the phone, you have the call, and suddenly like you're feeling worse than when you picked up the phone. I don't want people to have that experience anymore. And so that's really what the purpose of the book is.
I love that. And just like normalizing people's thoughts and feelings around money, like especially women. I do think we're more hesitant to ask for help because there's just that thing, like we should just know, like we should just know these things and since we don't, if we ask a question, we're dumb for asking the question, which is not true.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. I was just thinking too, like as my own money has grown and my own investments have grown over time, I had like a particularly weird experience. This is just like a side quest, but this year doing taxes. So like I reached out to ask a question to my CPA and I had just all of a sudden in asking that question realized we had outgrown the information and advice that we can and should be taking from that person. And because of the question I asked, they fired me. And I was like, I would normally be like so upset. And I was like, you know what? This is actually wonderful because I need a whole new set of eyes like on my finances. And I need a bigger questions. I need to be able to ask someone questions and get them answered. Cause that was a situation of that, like, don't ask me that, like, you should just know the answer. Don't ask us the question. Like, what's wrong with you for asking? And I was like, very interesting.
And unfortunately, I hear that a lot.
Yeah, that's so wild. I was like, that didn't even occur to me that could happen. I'm like, our taxes are due in a week, like our business taxes. I got it solved. We're fine, but
good.
But I also think too, if I was in my money story from like a year ago or 6 years ago, I would have never known to ask that question. And I probably would have kept working with someone who's probably costing me a lot of money on my tax return as well. So.
No kidding. And like, look at that, Heather, right? Like that's what we're talking about is really the power of really looking at what are the stories that we're telling ourselves and how is that impacting our financial decision-making? Because it does, it has a meaningful impact. And look at the amazing like place that you've gotten to where it's like, I'm going to ask my question. And if I don't like the answer, I'm going to deal with that. Right. Like I'm not going to just let somebody bully me or make me feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh, I don't like this. And I'm not stuck here. Like I'm not dependent on like, there's so many other options. Whereas before I'd be like, oh, I'm just comfortable here. So that's so good. Do you have like a favorite client story or client win you would like to share? Something
so one of the things that I love to witness in my practice, a lot of women start working with us out of difficult situation, right? Like maybe they went through a divorce or they lost their spouse, or maybe their spouse is still around, but they're maybe having some cognitive issues, or, those are the most common reasons people are going to reach out is they're dealing with something where suddenly they're responsible for the finances on their own. And a lot of times when they first come, they're terrified around making investment decisions. Very, very common. Especially if you've been through something difficult, if you've been through a major health crisis, if you've been through a divorce, like these are things that shake the foundation for you, right? And so for a lot of those folks, they come in and they are very conservative with their investments. And we kind of walk through a process and making sure that we're making the appropriate recommendations. But a lot of them are conservative initially. And what we talk about is the fact that we're going to continue to talk about your portfolio. We're going to talk about it every quarter. We're going to talk about what the market's doing. We're going to talk about how your portfolio is performing. And what we see over the years, and this is actually, it's not one case. I mean, this is pretty common. Suddenly they start to get a little bit more comfortable taking a little investment risk. They better understand the market. And then we get to see a little better return, right? And that they get rewarded for that behavior. I love that. When they say to me, you know what, Leah, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to make an adjustment here. I'm feeling better things. I'm feeling more confident in my situation. So I always love that transition for people.
Yeah, that's great. It's good to see people like feel comfortable to take a little bit of a leap and then to get the payout of what happens from that. Yeah, that's so good. How do people find you usually? Like, where are they at in their stages of investing, or like, how do they know about you?
Yeah. So what's unique about how we work, you don't even have to have any assets to work with us.
Okay.
We do financial planning, even if all your investments are at your 401k at work, or, you haven't even started investing yet. So we still do financial planning for people. We look at a really holistic picture because we're looking at, what are you doing in terms of cash flow allocation, savings, investing, but also risk management, estate planning, right? We're really looking at the whole person, the family, depending on the nature of the situation, and making sure that they're really optimizing their financial situation based on what their goals are. I always tell people it's your plan, it's not my plan. And I want to make sure that I really understand what matters to you, what your priorities are. There are no two plans that are alike in our office because we really do individualize it based on where somebody's at and what they're trying to accomplish, right? And so people come to us at all different stages. Some people, like I said, we're working on their financial plan. Some people might be like, hey, I'm retiring in 5 years. Am I ready? Like they might do a plan then, and then maybe they want us to manage their investments after they retire. And some people have been frustrated with their experience with their existing financial planner and decide that they want more of a partnership kind of relationship. And then, then they move over.
Okay, very cool. I was just wondering the ascension of how you went from being an assistant when you first walked into that role to where you're at now. Like, what does Leah from back then think about Leah now?
Right? Leah from back then, let me just tell you, Heather, like never in a million years. Are you kidding me? My own business, employees, there's no way. No way. Yeah, I've come a long way. So I was in the equity research department. So, they're doing investment research all around me. And I had a wonderful, wonderful mentor who was an equity research analyst who was like, hey, if you want to learn something about this, like let's do some work together. And they actually let me do all my licensing exams there, even though I was just an assistant, and then promoted me to become a research associate. So at that firm, I actually became an associate on a team of analysts. And then I went to another firm, and that's where I became a senior equity research analyst, where, I was sharing my portfolio ideas with big hedge fund managers and mutual fund managers and that kind of a thing. And then I decided that I was ready to have a family and that lifestyle didn't support the kind of family that I wanted to have. And so decided to take all that investment knowledge and start working as a financial advisor. I worked for a big broker dealer, and it was a great experience, but they have a certain way of doing business. And it's kind of like more of a one size fits all solution. And you can see I love just to think outside the box and be creative and customize things. And so it wasn't a good fit for me. So ultimately, I did try another firm. But when you're at those big broker dealers, they're so limited when what you can do because they have to do everything at scale, whereas when you go to like a boutique firm like ours, we can really get more into the relationship. And that's what's important to me.
Yeah. It's just cool that you saw like, this doesn't work for this subset of people that I want to work with. So I'm just going to create my own. That's so badass.
Thanks.
That's so cool. So you mentioned you have a family. Like, what do your kids think about what you're doing?
They're so proud of me. Honestly, like 3 kids we adopted from the foster care system as a sibling group.
Oh, wow.
And they are now, my youngest is almost 14 and then 17 and 18. And my 18-year-old is actually helping out part-time a little bit behind the scenes. So that's pretty cool. And my youngest son, he's going to be starting to do some video work for me. He's really into like video editing and stuff. So, I try to involve them as they want to be involved. But at the end of the day, I think they think it's fun that mom has her own business.
Yeah, that's so cool. It gives me goosebumps. My kids are just like a little bit older than your kids. I have 21, 19, and 16. And they're not super interested in what I do, but I think they think it's cool that I do my own thing and I create my own path. So it's really fun to see the younger kids seeing what we do and and just moving forward. That's so awesome. Okay. What else do you want to tell the people that are listening here? So this, like, think about the audience here is physical therapists, occupational therapists, mainly women, massage therapists, speech and language pathologists. We've got nurses, probably some doctors listening that want to have cash-based businesses, but what do you want them to hear about what's possible for them? Like if they get your book or if they explore your programs?
Yeah, I would say take a second to just reflect on what your own experience has been with money and whether or not that experience is positive and is propelling you forward, or if you're getting some of those negative messaging. I was actually very fortunate. I grew up with a single mom, so that was challenging from a financial standpoint, but she was an accountant, which is very unusual for that time, right? And she had her MBA. So from a financial standpoint, she was relatively financially savvy. I remember when she and I sat down and she walked me through her annual budgeting process. So I know how to create my own budget. Most families never do that, right? And so that's so valuable. Regardless of what your situation was that you were raised with, it's going to have had an impact on how you make financial decisions. And the biggest thing is if you're married, it's going to have an impact on how the two of you interact around any kind of financial decision making together or separately, right? And so I just encourage people to really bring to the light whatever those stories are. The book itself is really a powerful tool in helping you rewrite some of that. But you may find that as you kind of take a step back and reflect, there may be a lot going on below the surface there that you want to explore. And the more that you can talk about it, the more you can open up about it, I just think that that is how we close the wage gap. That is how women taking control of the wealth that they're responsible for in meaningful ways. And I think that's available for everybody, but we do have to own it.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. It's available for everyone. We just have to own it. Very, very powerful. Okay, where can people find your book?
It is on Amazon, Intentional Money, The Modern Woman's Guide to Building Wealth, Purpose, and Peace.
Okay, awesome. We'll try to put a link to the book in the show notes so people have easier access to it. Is there anything else you want to tell people before we wrap up?
Just want to thank you, Heather, for the opportunity to share with your audience here. I really appreciate it. This is something that I feel so passionately about. And I just think that women can have such an amazing impact on the world the more that we take ownership of wealth. And so I'm excited to be delivering this message. And I hope that some of you will reach out and really connect and let's build together.
I love it. I love it. I thank you so much for being here. It's like having a famous author on my program. I'm honored to host you here and to promote your messaging. And I can't wait to get my hands on your book. So for everybody watching or listening to us, make sure you go to Amazon and you look for Leah Hadley's book, The Intentional Money, The Modern Woman's Guide to Building Wealth, Purpose, and Peace. Everybody go get yourself a copy. Let's make this a bestseller. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Absolutely.
Yes. Didn't you already make it to the bestseller list?
We got on in wealth management for the top free download.
That's amazing because it's only been a few days.
I know.
I mean, congratulations. This is so cool. Congratulations. I love this for you. And I can't wait to see where you're at when this episode drops. So, all right. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see everybody else on another episode. Thanks for listening to the MFR Coaches Podcast. If you're ready to grow your myofascial release practice, make sure to sign up for my next free training. These live webinars are designed to help you take real steps towards building a fully booked, profitable business. You can save your seat and find the latest dates at themfrcoach.com/webinar. And if you're looking for more support, the Foundations program is now open year-round. Inside, you'll get coaching, tools, and community to help you get fully booked and stay that way without burning out. One last thing before you go. My brand new book, Your MFR Practice Starts Here, is now available. It's a must-read for any MFR therapist who wants to build a business that actually works. You can grab your copy on Amazon and get your companion guide by going to themfrcoach.com/book. Start implementing right away. I'll see you in the next episode.